Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Alex and today I wanted to do a get ready with me / get to know me type video. So let's just jump straight into it. My face is like super tight because I just washed it, but I do all my skincare. But I figured I would like start with some of the basic questions, but I don't want to like spend the whole video talking about like the basic get to know me questions. So I found some like interesting get to know me type questions that I thought could be kind of fun to answer in this setting. But just to like preface, my name is Alex. I'm 25. I live in a small town in Missouri. I grew up in St. Louis. I lived in Kansas City for a while. I went to school at the University of Missouri. But yeah, now I live here in this like little small town with my boyfriend Jake and our dog George. And I work fully remote. I work for a marketing agency. So yeah, that's kind of like the basic answers to who I am. But like I said, I wanted to make it a little bit more interesting than like the basics. I feel like the basics are kind of boring sometimes. So I found these questions and I like tried to pick some good ones that I thought would just be like interesting. I literally was like going on Pinterest and finding like all these like random lists. But our first question is, what are all the jobs you've ever had? So my first job was working at Old Navy. I was like 15 or 16 and I really was like, I wanted to be a lifeguard. That's what my brother was, and I just wanted like an easy summer job, but I was a little bit too late to apply. All the lifeguard positions were full, so I found a job working at Old Navy, and I worked there for like a year, and then I ended up moving to Panera, or in St. Louis, everyone just knows it as St. Louis Bread Company or Bread Co. And I worked there for quite a while, like through all of high school. I worked at Bread Co. And then actually into college. So when I moved to Mizzou, they were able to just like transfer me to one of the locations there. I stayed there at least through like freshman year, I think. Yeah, so most of like freshman year of college, I worked at Bread Co. And then my sophomore year of college, I got a job working at this like local boutique called Fringe. It was super cute. And it was like, I don't know, kind of a great job. There wasn't a ton to do. But I also got to like model the clothes and like take pictures, and like that was always fun. And then from there, a lot of my friends started working at this college bar, Willie's and Fieldhouse. And I ended up getting a job there. I worked there as a server for a little bit. And then by the time I turned 21, I became a bartender. And actually that's how Jake and I met. He was the manager at Willie's and I worked for him for a little while. So that's how we met. But then after college, I moved to Kansas. Oh, actually, I continued bartending for like a month. I worked at what is it called? Wheelhouse in St. Louis. It's like a popular bar downtown. I worked there for like maybe a month and then decided I was going to move to Kansas City. I moved to Kansas City and got into liquor sales and distribution. And I worked in liquor sales for a little over a year. Then I decided I wanted to maybe get off the road. I was literally like driving around all the time for liquor sales. And then I moved into like marketing sales. So like advertising, selling ad placements and stuff. I did that for a little bit less than a year. And then I moved to my current job now. It's kind of weird like how the world works, how you end up at like certain jobs. I always think it's super interesting to see like where people started and where they ended up. I've been at my current job for over a year now. I think I'm going to stay here a while. I'm really happy with it. I really like it. It definitely, like coming out of college, I think it takes a minute to figure out like where you should go, but I like where I'm at now. So anyway, those are all the jobs I've ever had, I think. I hope I'm not missing any. That's quite a lot, I would say, for only being 25. Question number 2 is, what is your favorite drink? I feel like there's a lot of different ways you could go with this, but I'll start by saying that my favorite like alcoholic drink is an Aperol Spritz. I've been like consistently drinking them now for probably the last like 2 years. Love an Aperol Spritz. I love wine. And if it's not like an alcoholic drink, I love an iced vanilla latte with oat milk. Yeah, those are probably my like favorite drinks, alcoholic and non-alcoholic. Question number 3 is kind of 2 questions. So what is your favorite concert? And then what was the last concert that you've been to? My favorite concert was probably, no, has to be hands down. I got to see Harry Styles at Coachella in 2022. It was weekend 1, and his special guest that he brought on stage was Shania Twain. And she was like the first artist I was ever obsessed with, like as a kid. I remember one year for Christmas, I got a CD player and a Shania Twain CD, and I would literally listen to it on repeat. So seeing, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Harry Styles, but then the special guest was just like so perfect. Seeing Shania Twain, like it was something I never knew I needed to see, but I was like so happy that that was a special guest. It was an unforgettable experience. We were so close to the stage. Like you could literally, like I could see Harry Styles. I'll literally never forget it. Best concert ever. And then part 2 of that question is, what's the last concert that you've been to? The last concert I went to was in July of this year. We went to see Morgan Wallen in St. Louis. He played at Busch Stadium. The tickets were my Valentine's Day present, but it was a nice little like weekend getaway. I love Morgan Wallen, and it was like really fun seeing him at Busch Stadium. I feel like it's not, his stadium tour I think was very cool. So question number 4 is, if money wasn't a concern and you had to work, what would you do for work? And I think this would have to be like kind of what I'm doing here. I've always been obsessed with taking pictures and making videos and trying to like preserve memories, really. Is something I've always been like really interested in and really loved and passionate about. So I would have to say that's it. Like even as a kid, like making videos was one of my favorite things to do. And like just capturing like real life, the good, the bad, the ugly. I remember I would always do these videos, like end of the year recap videos, and they were my like absolute favorite thing to do. So yeah, I think making videos, or like even taking pictures. I was always into photography too. My dad I think for one of my birthdays got me a camera. Like when I was in like high school, I was old enough to like use it and use it well. My dad's also always been really good at taking pictures. Like he literally did my senior pictures and stuff like that. Like he's always had a nice camera, and he's always been really good at like capturing a moment. And I think there's just something so special about having the ability to capture a moment that's like so special and making it seem so real and genuine and making it feel like the moment itself, if that makes any sense. But if money were no option, like that's definitely what I would try to do full time. Or I always say this too, I love doing hair. I've loved doing hair since I was like a kid. Like it's just, I swear it's like in my genes. A lot of my aunt and my grandma are both, or they were both hairdressers. So I think I've just got it in my genes. That's another thing. Like if money if if money was of no concern, and also if time was of no concern, I think I would maybe also be a hairdresser. Those are my two. Question number 5. What food do you crave more than any other? Hands down has to be chocolate. Like, I have such a bad sweet tooth. I'm obsessed with chocolate. I've always been obsessed with chocolate, and maybe even more specifically like a Reese's. Oh, I love a Reese's, and the best really are the Reese's like shapes. So like the Easter egg or the pumpkin, like the holiday shapes. Why do they taste better? I don't know, but they do. So yeah, that's probably what I crave more than anything else is chocolate, and specifically a Reese's. Question number 6 is, when you were younger, what was your answer to what do you want to be when you grow up? And my answer for the longest was that I wanted to be a prosecuting attorney. Very, very specific. Not like any other kids. And I think it mostly came from like our LEAP program. So I was in the gifted program when I was little. And so basically once a week we would, instead of going to our normal class, we would go to LEAP. And it was just like, it's so hard to explain. But anyway, we would like skip school, go to LEAP, and every year there was a different theme for LEAP. And one year it was all about like law. And for some reason it like really struck a chord in me, and I decided I wanted to be a prosecuting attorney. And at that age, I had never even seen Legally Blonde, but that probably didn't help when I did see it. But yeah, I always said for the longest I wanted to be a prosecuting attorney. Then of course, by the time that I like went to college and stuff, that was like so far from the truth. But yeah, that was my answer for a long period of my life. Question number 7 is, what are all the nicknames that you have been given? My longest standing nickname, and there's like no good origin story for it, is Tootsie. My parents started calling me Tootsie at a young age, and it like completely stuck. Like my family knows me as Tootsie. They use Tootsie so often that even some of my older brother's friends, like when I was little, they thought my name was just Tootsie. Like they didn't know they would see me in the hallway at school and say, "Oh, hey Tootsie." Like, "Hey, what's up?" I think it could have, well, no, I don't think it came from the Andy Griffith little song, but I think that was maybe part of it, was that my mom would sing that little, I'm not going to try to sing it, Tootsie song from Andy Griffith. It's a very niche reference. That could be kind of where it came from, but anyway, that is like the longest standing nickname that I've had. My parents still call me Tootsie. When I was in high school, like I was on the dance team, so we had t-shirts that would say like, so-and-so's mom, so-and-so's dad, so-and-so's brother, sister, whatever. So you could get them for the family. And instead of Alex's mom, Alex's dad, Alex's brothers, my family all had shirts that said Tootsie's mom, Tootsie's dad, and Tootsie's brothers. So yeah, that's my longest standing nickname. People also call me Al, just short for Alex. One of my like friends from dance started calling me A-Raj. A-Raj? It's hard to like pronounce. And that was like my Instagram name for quite a while, was A-Raj. Just shortened Alex and then my last name Rogers. And similar to like, I guess Aaron Rodriguez, A-Rod, right? Kind of, I don't know. And then of course I feel like some people just call you like your last name. So like in college, a lot of friends would just call me Rogers. But yeah, I feel like I think those are all my nicknames. Oh, and I guess I can even say that Alex is technically short for Alexandra. Not that that's really a nickname, it's just my name, but yeah. Question number 8 is, what are you passionate about, or what is like a topic that you could talk forever about? And for me, this one's so easy. It's Enneagram types. If you don't know what that is, you need to like look it up. It's so interesting and you should take the test. I could go down a rabbit hole about it, but essentially it is like a structure of 9 different like personality types, but within it kind of explains how all 9 types like interact with one another. It's extremely interesting. I am a type 3. Jake is a type 3. My mom is a type 1. I'm trying to think of some of my like one good friend is like very much like to a T, a type 2. It's just all very interesting to me, like how like all the interpersonal like relationships work and like how well it describes how people relate to one another and the relationships between different types and like seeing life through someone else's eyes. It's, again, like I could literally talk forever about it. I read an entire book about all 9 types called The Sacred Enneagram. There's also one of my favorite artists, Sleeping at Last, did a like whole album. He wrote a song for every Enneagram type and then also did like a podcast to correlate with the album and with each song. So had this like expert come on and talk about the Enneagram and the types and like what went into his songwriting and like what pieces like of the Enneagram type he wanted to like really portray through his song. Like, and I just found it so interesting. I listened to all 9 podcasts. I'm obsessed with all 9 songs. I've listened to them all more than once. I find it so interesting. And I think it really gives you a sense of empathy too, to like understand not only your own type, but like your loved ones and what type they are, to understand how they see the world and how it might be different from how you see the world, but then also understanding your relationships. Like I just find it so interesting. I think it's crazy. So the Enneagram is what I could talk for hours and hours about. Question number 10 is, what was your favorite toy as a child? My mom always said that like I was one of the hardest kids to buy for because I wasn't really into like your traditional toys. I didn't play with a lot. I like played with baby dolls here and there, and you know, I played house and all the things, but I love to dance. So the best toy that I ever got was this karaoke machine that held like 3 different CDs at a time. And I had this little dance room downstairs in our basement. And I would go down there and play music and dance for hours at a time. And that was the best toy I think I ever got. We got so much use out of it. It traveled with us to like our house that we lived in when I was in like middle school and high school. Yeah, that was definitely the best toy. I think I got the most use out of that more than any other toy. I was just not a toy kid. I wasn't. I really cannot decide what I want to do with my hair. My makeup's basically done, but now I need to figure out what I want to do with my hair. And I'm struggling a little bit. And I also realized that I skipped over a question by accident. So question number 9, going backwards here, is like, what are your weird habits? And the like first thing that comes to mind is I have like strange tics while I'm on like work calls, and they're so noticeable, and people probably like, I mean, it's so obvious, so apparent. There's no way of hiding them. But when I'm on work calls, I feel like I have to be doing something with my hands. I also talk a lot with my hands. I'm a little ridiculous. But I will pick up my Stanley and drink it. Or I will fidget with my jewelry. So like these little hoops, I'll sit there and like unclip them, reclip them, unclip them, reclip them. Or if I have a necklace on, I'll be like playing with it. I don't know what it is. That's like the only thing that comes to mind really when I think of like weird or strange habits of mine. I think I'm just gonna like put my hair up into like a low pony maybe. But question number 11, this is the last question, and I wanted to keep like a deep question for last. But question number 11 is, what risks are worth it to take? And I honestly would say like, there's so many risks that are worth it to take. Like there's obviously, unless it's a risk that, you know, like puts yourself in like danger. I think a lot of risks are worth it to take. I think that's what life's all about, is like learning, taking risks. Even stuff as simple as like, okay, when I moved down here to a small town, I've never lived in a small town, coming from like a bigger city, that was a risk. I wasn't sure how it was going to pan out, but like I weighed the pros and the cons, and I'm honestly really happy with how everything turned out. I would say that also like just putting yourself out there is always a risk that's worth taking. Whether that means like putting yourself out there in terms of like love and telling someone how you feel about them, like that is, I think, is always a risk that's worth it to take. I don't think you're ever going to regret telling someone what they mean to you. And then just like things that you're passionate about, like I said, making videos and capturing memories is something that I've always been passionate about, but I've always been nervous about, you know, what are other people going to think, or what if it doesn't work out for me? What if it doesn't succeed? This is obviously a very, very small channel, but I think it's worth it to take the risk. If you don't take the risk, like how are you ever going to know like what could have been? So I'd rather live with, okay, I tried something, it didn't work out the way that I thought it would, than live with like regret of, I should have tried this, I wanted to try this, I wish I would have done that, and just seeing. Does that make sense? I'd rather live with like the, okay, I tried it, didn't work. Maybe I failed, maybe I fell on my face, maybe I whatever. But at least I tried it. At least I put myself out there. I'd rather live that way than live life with regrets and the like what ifs. So kind of a dark, I don't think it's sad. I think it's a good like reflective question, but anyway, those are the risks that I think are worth it to take. I think a lot of risks are worth it to take. You're never going to know until you find out. As long as you're not putting yourself in harm's way or in a bad situation for yourself. But I think risks are always worth it. I think you're always learning. I think you're always evolving. Anyway, that is the end of today's video. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe for other similar content. I want to do more of these. I kind of think this is fun. I want to do some with like Jake and just do like maybe like a cocktails and questions. So anyway, if you have any ideas, please feel free to comment them below. But thank you so much for watching.